I'm always delighted when Dr. Grant Mullen can be with us. He's been a good friend to me. He's been also a great person to bring enlightenment on many of the subjects that you and I have been coping with, especially related to COVID, our mental health, and our self-esteem. So welcome, Grant, again.
Well, it's nice to be with you and not on Zoom.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm not sure if one of us looks better with a mask on or off, but we'll just let the audience...
The makeup lady spent a lot of time making me look better.
Yeah, Grant, we're going to start laughing right away. And we got some serious stuff to talk about. But we are talking about joy. And one of the things that COVID has done is just rob people of so much joy and self-esteem, self-worth, and they just kind of... The elevator has gone into the parking garage. It's just gone right down. Why is that?
Well, during COVID, all the things that we normally do this time of year were removed. We're allowed to do a few more things this year, but last year, like every family gatherings are a risk. I mean, everyone you talk to anywhere is now, a potential carrier. So that all the normal things we did to liven up our lives in the holiday season were taken out because it was forbidden.
I often think of the word recalibrate. How do we get things back on track? Like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and get healthy again. How do we recalibrate mentally from all that's happened?
Well, of course, we're not completely out of the woods yet. But as far as COVID goes, because we're still wearing masks and we're still limited. But as those restrictions come off, actually people bounce right back. Like after the world wars, people bounce back faster than was expected. So we actually are very resilient. We can actually bounce back faster than people think.
Well, that's encouraging to hear. Actually, I wasn't prepared for you to say that, so...
Oh, you thought because I deal with depression, it's always going to be depressing.
Yeah, we're just going to stay down there, so there is hope.
Oh yeah.
So tie in, though, my whole understanding of God's presence in our life and what we can do to help with the recovery. Because in one sense, if you say that, do I need the presence of God in my life?
Well, the first, as Christians, the first thing to think of is that God saw the pandemic coming. So he knew it was coming. So that he made provision for us to actually survive and even thrive through it. And so that if he is walking through with us through this situation, that means that at the end of it, we can be stronger than when we went into it. Because during the COVID times, when so many normal activities were removed, it actually gave us time to get to know God better, because we were less distracted.
I have heard that said by different people at different times. And now it seems like we're getting back up, we're getting amped up. But here's where I want to go. I don't think anyone really has a full understanding of this Omicron variant. Is that true?
Yeah, well, that's true, yes. It's
so
still
we're trying to figure it out. But as I listen to the news, my goodness, the fear hype is huge.
Yeah.
Why are they doing that?
Well, just look at the stock market. It just plummeted because of global fear. And so, because actually humans always defer to the worst case scenario, that we always default negative, but also after we've been in COVID for so long, and to hear that there's yet another variant and that could put us behind another year. You see, if we still had the original variant, that we would have been out of this over a year ago. It would have been history, like SARS. SARS came and went. But then Delta came, so another year, and so the fact that there's another variant, people are panicking, thinking, are we facing this for another year? But I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think that's going to happen? Okay, one of the areas of your expertise is you help people deal with mental health issues, and sometimes it's from a medical perspective, but then also how to free your mind emotionally. You've written a book, and it's called Emotionally Free. And I've enjoyed the book. It's been helpful. I just was sharing with you before we come on air that I ran into a young woman who I knew needed the book, and I was traveling on the West Coast, and I patted this in my briefcase, and I handed it, and I gave it to her. So the book's made it at least to the West Coast and back again a few times. One of the things that happens is many times our self-esteem plummets. I want you to talk to me about the whole issue of self-esteem and how we can recover from possibly family things that have happened to us, situations of abuse, but things that cause us to plummet back into that parking lot.
Well, actually, most people struggle with self-esteem, like the vast majority of people. In fact, the people who you think have the greatest self-esteem, when you talk to them privately, they're struggling with insecurity. Like if you talk to like really famous, successful people, they're all struggling with insecurity.
Does that mean even you've struggled with it?
I have struggled with it too, yes. That's true. But except when I come here. You guys make me feel good because you put makeup on me. But most people struggle with it. And your self-esteem or your sense of security is based on what you believe about yourself. And we all believe lies about ourselves.
So one of the questions, though, we say we believe lies about ourselves. Do you think we pass stuff on to our kids and families, or did our parents pass stuff on to me?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Explain that one.
Because we are raised in a family culture. So every family has its culture. And so that your parents will pass on to you, unfortunately, the culture that they were raised in. So in other words, if your parents struggle with low self-esteem, low self-confidence, poor self-image, then they will teach you that that is normal. That in our family, we are always underdogs. In our family, we are always failures. In our family, someone's always trying to take advantage of us. Okay, and that becomes
the language, the rhetoric.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the kid said, "Yep, the world is always going to be negative. I will never succeed. I will always struggle." If that's your culture, that becomes your normal. And so we pass our dysfunctions on to the next generation, unfortunately.
There's a million questions I could ask you, but let's stay with this one. Okay, so walk us out of that. How do we change our thinking patterns? And talk to us about how your relationship with Christ has been so impactful as you've shared these truths with people.
Yes, well, the key, in fact, the most successful way to change your internal culture is to, one, recognize that you're believing lies about yourself. And you have to realize that Jesus sees you completely differently than you see yourself. Because we see all our failures and all our negative aspects, and he sees the destiny that he intended for us when we were conceived. And so the key to transforming your internal culture is to recognize what happened, what were the things that were spoken to you that dropped your self-esteem, self-confidence. Like when your parents said, you're not going to amount to anything. Or if a teacher said that, or someone in authority said that to you.
We hear those things all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so then as soon as you believe it, it becomes a stronghold in your mind. Because as soon as you believe the lie, it takes root and it keeps popping up in later life. That it doesn't matter how successful, in the back of your mind saying, yeah, but it's the second shoe is going to drop. So you have to recognize that you're believing a lie, where it came from, and then you need to forgive. Forgiving and repenting are powerful spiritual weapons. We need to forgive the people that taught us all these lies.
We're going to stay stuck otherwise.
Absolutely. And so God's given us these powerful spiritual tools that you can forgive your parents, you can forgive people in authority, you can forgive yourself for believing these things. And then you need to ask Jesus, what is the truth? Who am I really? Who do you say that I am? What is my potential?
And those are freeing words.
It's liberating.
Yeah.